I'm working the front desk at a hostel in Melbourne when this American guy walks up to me, dragging two massive suitcases. It's like 35 degrees outside. He's sweating through his shirt. He looks me dead in the eye and asks, "When does it cool down?" "It's almost winter." I blink at him. "Mate, it's November." "It's spring." He pulls out his phone, shows me the weather app. "But it says November back home is freezing." I just stare at him. This man flew 16 hours across the planet and forgot that seasons flip upside down below the equator. He genuinely thought Australia just decided to have hot weather during winter. If you catch yourself loving stories that reveal how differently the world actually works, this channel's built for you. I unpack these moments every week, so subscribe if you want to see the patterns most travelers miss. Had to pull up a globe on my computer to explain hemispheres to a 40-year-old man, but that was nothing compared to the Swedish taxi driver who told me about the American tourist who tipped him 50 kroner on a 500 kroner ride, then got offended when the driver tried to give it back. Or my cousin in Prague who watched an American woman argue with a tram conductor because she thought the number 22 tram would take her to the address 22 Old Town Square. The conductor kept saying, "That's not how trams work," and she kept saying, "Then why is it called the 22? Or there's my friend working at a pharmacy in Tokyo. An American guy came in asking for Tylenol. She showed him the Japanese equivalent. He squinted at the box, then asked, "Do you have the American version? I don't think the Asian one will work on me." She had to explain that pain relievers don't check your passport before entering your bloodstream. But honestly, that was just the beginning. I'm a tour guide in Reykjavik. It's June, and I've got this college kid on a Northern Lights tour. He's maybe 21, doing that gap year thing. Nice enough guy. We're standing outside at 11 at night, and it's still bright as afternoon. He keeps checking his watch, keeps looking at the sky. Finally, he asks me, "What time does it get dark here?" I tell him, "It doesn't. Not in summer." He laughs. Thinks I'm joking. Come on, seriously. "What time?" "Mate, we're 2 degrees south of the Arctic Circle. The sun barely sets right now." He goes quiet. Then he says, "So when do we see the Northern Lights?" I have to explain that the Northern Lights need darkness. He paid 15,000 kroner for a tour that can't physically happen for 3 more months. Most people scroll past these stories and laugh. But the ones who stay, they're the kind who notice how culture, climate, and perception collide. If that's you, hit subscribe and stay inside that conversation. He didn't believe me until I showed him the Wikipedia page on Midnight Sun. Then he asked if he could get a refund because I should have mentioned this limitation on the website. The website that says in 4 different places that Northern Lights tours only run September through March. My co-worker had a similar situation last summer. American family, mom and dad in their 50s with 2 teenage daughters. They book a glacier hike in July, then show up in sneakers. Not hiking boots, not even proper walking shoes. Canvas sneakers, the kind you wear to the mall. My co-worker says, "You can't hike a glacier in those." The dad says, "It's just ice, right? How hard can it be?" She tries to explain. Ice axes, crampons, crevasses that can swallow a car. The dad keeps interrupting, saying they hiked plenty of trails back in Colorado. She finally tells them they can't go. It's a safety issue. The mom asks to speak to a manager. Like that's going to change the laws of physics and ice. Then there's my buddy who drives a taxi in Marrakech. He picks up this American woman at the airport. Maybe 60 years old, traveling solo. She gets in and immediately asks, "How long to the Eiffel Tower?" He says, "Sorry, what?" She repeats it, slower, louder. "The Eiffel Tower. How many minutes?" He just sits there. "Ma'am, that's in Paris. This is Morocco." She pulls out a crumpled printout of her itinerary, points at it. It says here I'm in Africa for 3 days, then Paris for 2 days. I thought we'd start. Look, I get it. America is huge. You can drive for 12 hours and still be in Texas. But some of these tourists seem to think the entire with Paris, since it's closer. My buddy had to explain that Paris is in France, in Europe, about 2,300 kilometers away. She genuinely thought the Eiffel Tower was just somewhere in the general Africa region. She'd flown into the wrong continent and didn't notice until she was already in the taxi. I work at a hotel in Dubrovnik. We get a lot of Game of Thrones tourists, which is fine. But this one guy, American, late 20s, keeps asking about the King's Landing tour. I tell him we have a walking tour of the filming locations. He says no, he wants to see the actual Red Keep. I explain it's a TV show. The Red Keep is a set. It doesn't exist as a real building, he says, but I saw it. It's right there. He points toward the old fortress walls. I say, that's Fort Lavrigenac. It was used for exterior shots, but the inside of the Red Keep was filmed in a studio. He gets frustrated, says he paid good money to see King's Landing, and I'm telling him it's not real. He wants to know where they keep the Iron Throne. I tell him it's probably in a Warner Brothers warehouse in Belfast. He asks if we can drive there. I have to explain that Belfast is in Northern Ireland. He says, how far is that? I say about 2,800 kilometers. He asks if there's a train. I'm working the reception desk at a ski resort in Zermatt. It's January. Minus 12 Celsius outside. This American guy, maybe mid-30s, comes down from his room wearing shorts and a t-shirt. He's got a coffee in his hand. He stops at my desk and says, "Hey, is the heat broken?" My room says it's only 12 degrees. I look at him, at his shorts, at the frost on the windows behind him. "Sir, that's Celsius." "It's 12 Celsius," he squints. "12 is freezing, man. Can you turn it up?" I explain that 12 Celsius is about 54 Fahrenheit. His room is fine. He's confused because the thermostat doesn't go higher. I tell him that's normal for Switzerland. We don't usually heat rooms past 18 Celsius. He insists that's way too cold. Says his house back in Arizona is always at 72. I do the math in my head. That's 22 Celsius. I tell him we can adjust it a bit, but Swiss buildings aren't designed for that. He says, "This is insane. How do you people live like this?" The whole time, he's standing there in shorts, in the Alps. In January, my sister works at a cafe in Singapore. It's always hot there, like 32 degrees, humid, the kind of weather that makes your shirt stick to your back. This American woman comes in, maybe in her 50s, and orders an iced coffee. She sits down, drinks it, seems fine. Then she comes back to the counter. She says, "Excuse me, but it's 90 degrees in here. Is the AC broken?" My sister says, "No, ma'am, it's working. It's about 24 degrees inside." The woman says, "The sign outside said 90. My sister realizes she's talking about the temperature display on the street. She explains that Singapore uses Celsius. 90 degrees Fahrenheit is about 32 Celsius, which is normal for November in Singapore. The woman looks horrified. "You live in 90-degree weather?" "No, we live in 32-degree weather. It's just a different scale." The woman doesn't believe her. She pulls up a weather app on her phone, sees it says 90, and insists the cafe's AC is broken. My sister eventually gives up and offers her a free iced tea. Sometimes that's easier than explaining metric. I work at a restaurant in Buenos Aires. Small place, family-owned. Been here for 40 years. We don't rush people. That's not our style. You come, you eat, you sit, you talk. Maybe you stay for 3 hours. That's normal. This American couple comes in. They're younger, maybe late 20s, doing the whole South America backpacking thing. They sit down at 7 p.m., order quickly. Empanadas, some grilled meat, a bottle of wine. All good. The food comes out in about 20 minutes. They eat, they're laughing, having a nice time. Then they sit there, and sit, and sit. I'm not bringing them the check because they haven't asked for it. In Argentina, bringing the check without being asked is rude. It's like saying, "Okay, get out now." Around 8:30, the guy flags me down. He looks annoyed. "Hey, can we get the check? We've been waiting forever." I apologize. Bring it right over. He looks at it and says, "You guys need to work on your service speed. We've been done eating for like 40 minutes. I'm confused." I say, "But you didn't ask for the check." He says, "We shouldn't have to ask. You should just bring it," I try to explain. "In Argentina, the table is yours for the night. We don't rush you. You ask when you're ready." He cuts me off. Says in America, servers bring the check right after you finish eating. That's proper service. I'm nodding, but in my head, I'm thinking that sounds like you're being kicked out of the restaurant. They leave a 2 peso tip on a 15,000 peso bill. That's like 15 cents US. I'm not even mad. Just confused. My cousin works at a hotel in Osaka. Late checkout is 11 a.m., pretty standard. This American businessman, maybe 45, comes down at 10:55 with all his bags. He's rushing, sweating. He gets to the desk and says, "I need to check out, but I'm cutting it close. Can you make it quick?" My cousin processes everything in like 3 minutes, hands him his receipt. The guy looks relieved. Then he says, "Oh, and I need a shuttle to the airport." My cousin says, "Of course." The next shuttle leaves at 11:30. The guy's face falls. 30 minutes? Don't you have something faster? She explains the shuttle runs every half hour. He can take a taxi if he's in a hurry, but it'll cost more. He says, "This is ridiculous. In America, hotels have shuttles leaving all the time." She stays polite. Says, "I'm sorry for the inconvenience." The taxi stand is just outside. He huffs, grabs his bags. On his way out, he mutters something about Japanese efficiency being overrated. My cousin watches him leave and thinks about how he waited until the last possible second to check out. Then got mad that the universe didn't bend around his schedule. There's this story my friend told me. She works at a post office in Krakow. An American student comes in, maybe 19, studying abroad. She wants to mail a package back to the US. My friend weighs it, calculates the cost, tells her it's 85 zloty. The student pulls out a 100 zloty note. My friend gives her 15 zloty back. The student just stands there, holding the change. Then she puts the 15 zloty back on the counter, slides it toward my friend. "For you." My friend is confused. "I'm sorry. It's your tip." "For helping me." My friend gently pushes it back. "We don't accept tips. This is a post office." The student looks embarrassed. "Oh," I thought. "I'm sorry. In America, we tip for everything." My friend smiles, tells her it's okay. But after the student leaves, she tells her coworker about it, and they both laugh. Not in a mean way, just, who tips a postal worker? It's a government job. They're paid by the state. But apparently, in America, you tip everyone. Okay. But the best story I've ever heard came from my uncle. He's a ranger at Kruger National Park in South Africa. It's sunrise, and he's leading a safari tour. There's about 8 people in the Jeep, including this American family. Dad, Mom, and a 10-year-old kid. They're driving through the bush. It's quiet. Beautiful. The sun is just coming up over the acacia trees. Everyone's got their cameras ready. Then they spot a pride of lions. 5 of them just lying in the grass about 30 meters away. The whole Jeep goes silent. It's one of those perfect moments. The American kid leans forward and whispers to my uncle, "What time do you let them out?" My uncle turns around. "Sorry, what?" The kid says, "The lions. What time do you release them in the morning?" My uncle realizes this child thinks Kruger is a zoo, that the rangers keep the lions in cages overnight and let them out for the tourists. He tries to explain that this is a real national park. The lions live here. They're wild animals. They go wherever they want. The dad overhears and says, "Wait, so there's no fence between us and them?" My uncle says, "No, sir. That's why we stay in the vehicle." The mom's eyes go wide. "You mean they could just come over here?" "Yes, ma'am. That's why we don't get out of the Jeep." There's this long pause. Then the dad says, "This seems unsafe. Do you have insurance for this?" My uncle just nods. He's heard it all before. But in his head, He's thinking about how this man flew 8,000 miles to Africa, paid thousands of dollars for a safari, and somehow expected the lions to be on a schedule. Like they punch a time clock. Like they're employees. The family took about 60 photos, put them on social media, tagged it as the best zoo they'd ever been to. My uncle saw the post later. He didn't have the heart to correct them. Look, I've been doing this job for 6 years now, working with tourists from everywhere. And Americans? They're not bad people. Most of them are curious, excited, trying their best. But there's this thing that happens when you grow up in a country that big, that powerful, that self-contained. You kind of forget the rest of the world doesn't work the same way. You forget that seasons flip, that temperature scales change, that tipping isn't universal, that wild animals don't have shift schedules. And honestly, those moments when it clicks for them, when they realize how different things are, that's the good stuff. That's when travel actually means something. The stories keep coming, and I wouldn't have it any other way.